What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be breaking down the fight between Wukong, Erlang, and the four Heavenly Kings. This is the first of their matchups, and I want to take a little time to see if the fight was truly that close or if it was washed by either fighter. And when everything is said and done, I'm going to rank the fight on a scale from D to S tier of how good it actually was. Feel free to let me know how y'all would rank this fight as well. To help me in judging the fighters though, I'm going to treat it like an MMA style matchup. So I'm going to be tracking all the strikes and energy blasts attempted, attacks landed, blocks, and dodges. It's only going to be a single round this time around because there's really no breaks inside the action. Now I know Wukong is fighting multiple fighters at once, but this isn't the first time we've seen something like this. Google Eddie Hall 2v1 matchup. And yes, a 1v5 is way worse than a 2v1, but Wukong is a god, so I assume that he can handle it. Tiny bit of background, this whole matchup is taking place inside the heavens, and Wukong is the aggressor and challenger here, and Erlang has reciprocated. Now with all that being said, it's time to watch these fighters scrap. So let's get into it. And to start the match off, Erlang is already looking to get the jump on the king. He comes in from over the top, but Wukong checks. And I didn't say this before, but expect to see a lot of stylish attacks and blocks in this. Now this attack might have worked, but Erlang gave away his position with the lightning, and Wukong picked up on this with no problem. Is this move effective? Not really, but it does look good though. Erlang moves for the low attack, but Wukong stops it with his foot. Now right here, Wukong is feeling himself a little bit, but how could you not after stopping an attack like that? Wu shows that he has a little bit of style with the backflip, and then re-enters the fray with the jumping spinning attack. It gets blocked. He tries to go to the body, blocked. Pirouettes, strike to the head, blocked. Wukong takes it upstairs 2 times and then tries to go down low. Then flexes with the spinning attack to the dome. But Erlang's got footwork. Check the spinning block. Then both strike a pose. Now, this has 0 bearing on the fight, but there's a 10 out of 10 chance that someone in the background is looking like, yo man, these boys is kind of nice. Okay, so after watching this fight scene countless times, I ran into a small little dilemma. I couldn't really tell if Wukong is stabbing himself with Erlang's weapon, or if this is just clipping in the animation. Now Wukong does mention that Erlang's blade does need honing, so I assume that he's taking no damage here. So I'm gonna rule that no strike was landed here. If you disagree, I ain't mad at you. But I digress. So Wukong throws the blade out of the way in order to create an opening, but he blows it by getting way too flashy with the spin attack. Now this gives Erlang a chance to bounce back with a jumping attack. To change things up, instead of backing off, this time Erlang pushes the gas on Wukong. Now check how Erlang almost plays Wukong right here. He fakes like he's going to go for a full spin, so Wukong bites and pulls a 362. But instead, he stops midway and then comes back with the low strike. Now, shout out to Wukong for his reflexes right here, because man's whole backside was turned and he still dodged it. Barely dodged it, but he did dodge it nonetheless. Wukong shoots a side kick. As for Erlang, he does an excellent job of blocking this strike with the palm of his hand. Once they get a little bit of space, Erlang goes for the Devil May Cry style stinger. No good. He pulls off an aerial cartwheel attack, blocked. But he uses that in order to get the angle on Erlang. Trying to stab upwards from here probably wasn't the best bet, so instead he tries to go for a cartwheel attack of his own. But check it though, Wukong has his eyes on him the entire time. And not only does he parry this attack, but he uses his knee in order to reinforce the parry, which spins Erlang completely out of position. Now pause the tape. Instead of going for the straight attack, he actually goes into a spin move and then goes for the attack. This gives Erlang all the time he needs in order to recover and block the shot. Once again, another shout out to Erlang. You could tell that he's traded smoke with the best of them. He's blocking it with the point of his spear. That's kind of crazy. Now here's where Erlang shows a little bit of versatility. He decides to try to mix it up with some range attacks. Shots fired from distance, but Wukong is able to duck both of them. Now there's a lot that takes place right here, so check it out. First, Erlang fires off a 4-stack, but Wukong throws out his bow and uses that in order to block all the incoming shells. Now while this is happening, peep the behind the back that Erlang pulls off right here. Not only does he go behind the back with it, but he also does a spinning kick in order to launch the weapon. Now would a simple throw have sufficed? Absolutely, but who we kidding here? That shit looks way better. Now on the other side of things, Wukong fires his weapon from the hip and the weapon's starting to get into a clash. Both fighters are basically just falling back as their weapons do all the work for them, but once they do re-engage, Wukong goes for the wide angle body shot. Now check how Erlang fakes like he's gonna do the same thing, but instead he grabs the incoming shot and throws his ass aside. Now, Wukong decides to dip into his bag a little bit and goes for the power pole extend. At this point, it's basically a stalemate, and all of Erlang's boys are watching, so he basically decides to conjure up an attack that is so strong that it ends up destroying the planet. Just watch. All right, so I clearly over-exaggerated with the planet bursting part, but he definitely shut down the party with that move. I mean, foot soldiers, probably dead. 4 kings, lightning and dust particles on their eyes. This big dude right here, no, this brother is still falling over. Now, while everyone else is getting blown away, Wukong survives this shit with no problem. So what's the first thing that crosses everybody's mind? Jump his ass. He gets rained on by all 4 kings at once. Now, I forgot to mention that the 4 kings actually do have names, but they also go by North, East, South, and West for short. So that's what I'm gonna use. North, East, and West, man, they're going crazy with the energy blast right now. South, he's just swinging his weapon like he's playing golf. So basically, it's all out chaos at this point. Wukong is tanking all of this. I swear to God, he must be max level because he is not struggling in the slightest. Now, Erlang can tell that his crew is basically getting nowhere with this exercise, so what does he do? He pulls the strap, he goes for the swing, but Wukong is able to dodge it. Now, from Erlang's perspective, let me tell you how serious that attack was. Bro, that attack was so strong, it was able to cut through a whole mountain in half. And that attack must have been strong because I don't think Wukong would have dodged it if he could have just blocked it. And the look on Wukong's face right here, you know he's thinking to himself, look, I just came here to trade the hands a little bit, but now I'm gonna have to kill your ass. All right, so anyway, Wukong decides it's time to change the fight venue to the woods so that way he can go back to a 1v1 fight. And Erlang's like, all right, cool, let's get it. And now this is where the plot kicks in. And my man basically gets strapped with the #1 headband, which essentially just paralyzes him. And now Erlang is finally able to land a strike here, which unfortunately results in a KO. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the match. So let's go ahead and check out these stats, grade the fight on how good it was, and then get the hell up out of here. All right, so technically speaking, this was actually a 1v6 type of matchup. And I say that because the Golden Crown is what actually ended up paralyzing Wukong to begin with. Without this, there's really no telling if Erlang even would have landed a shot. Also, Erlang, bro, speak to your team, okay? Because that Golden Crown actually did more work than all 4 of the Heavenly Kings combined. Let's go ahead and look at Wukong versus Erlang first. Both fighters were extremely close on paper. Both attempted the same amount of shots, with Erlang being the only one who actually landed a strike the entire fight. Only difference, Erlang also leaned way more into blocking strikes rather than dodging them. Though Wukong did lean a little bit more into blocks and dodging as well, he did make use of his dodging to at least slide in and out of attacks. All right, putting the stats to the side, Erlang was the aggressor first. But all that got turned around pretty quickly. Wukong tried his best to take it to him, but Erlang's defense just wouldn't fold. Also, Wukong did give up a couple of solid chances to be able to land an easy strike if he just wasn't being so flashy all the time. As for Erlang, even though he couldn't land anything, outside of that last strike of course, he did do a great job of mixing things up from close and from range. Also, every single shot that this man takes usually is packing dynamite behind it. I mean, come on. 2 of his shots had dramatic effects on the landscape as a whole. So if I had to boil things down, if it weren't for that last strike, I'd be asking these 2 to run it back or at least do another round. That's how close this was. All right, as for the 4 kings, here's a look at their stats versus Wukong. There's not really much for me to say here except that they did make a good effort to try to pin him down, but they had zero luck of actually cracking his defense. It was all really more of a distraction than anything else. Now here's a look at all the stats combined when you're looking at both teams. However, though, the plot kicked in, the Golden Crown did its job, and Erlang was able to land the final strike. So today, the winner is Erlang and his crew. No Bruce Buffer treatment though, because you can't get a shout out when you're doing a 5v1. That's just not right. Now, as for the cinematic fight itself, man, if I had to rank this one, I would probably give it an A tier. At first, I was thinking a B tier due to the lack of strikes landed and all that, but then I realized that that's kind of the point of this fight. These two are damn near perfect, which results in a perfect matchup. It was interesting to see both of them try to use their versions of what power and finesse looks like. Erlang would hit with power, but also be very finesse-like when he was being defensive. Wukong had several power blocks and parries, but he used his finesse a lot of times on the offensive side in order to get repeated strike attempts. I think the only thing that's missing that probably would have made this an S tier fight is just if they showed more powers and abilities, like Wukong's patented clone ability. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Hey, yo, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Go and hit that like and subscribe button if you're feeling my channel. I'm gonna get cracking on some more of these breakdowns. And in the meantime though, y'all have a good one. Peace.